What's up, lovers of whiskey and watchers of YouTube? I am the Malt activist and I am back. And I'm back with the list. And this is a very cool list. This is a list of 5 sherried whiskeys that I love. Everyone loves a good sherried whiskey, including me. And there's actually more sherried whiskey in the world than there is any other type of whiskey, like first fill bourbons. I think there's so many distilleries like Glengoyne, like Bunnahabhain, like GLENDRONACH, BENDRONACH, who exclusively mature their whiskeys in sherry casks. So it's by far the most popular type of maturation in the whiskey industry, and consequently the most, drunk as well, I guess. Which brings us to this list: 5 sherried whiskeys that I personally endorse and love. Now, a few years ago, when I say a few years, I think maybe 5 or 6, 7 years ago, I'd made a list of my 5 sherried whiskeys that I really like. Actually, sorry, 10 sherried whiskeys that I really like. And I've had to modify that list because unfortunately, some of the whiskeys on that list ended up being discontinued and hence are no more relevant today. So the whiskeys that I'm going to share with you today hopefully are available in your neck of the woods and something that you are able to try as well. So this is in no particular order. I like them all. This is not a ranking. This is just a 5, right? So on to the first whiskey. My first sherry bomb, no surprise, is the ABERLOUR Abuna. This is probably the quintessential sherry bomb. It's, in my opinion, one of the best things that ABERLOUR could do. As you can see, this is a bottle at 60.4% ABV. This is natural cask strength, matured in Spanish Oloroso sherry butts. So the thing that we're going to do here is make sure that all the whiskeys that we talk about today are matured exclusively in sherry cask. So there's no, how should I say this, bastardization by any other cask. Only sherry casks involved. So the ABERLOUR Abuna. I came across the Abuna about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and I think at that time they were up to batch 28 or 29, I don't remember. And I was fortunate enough to drink an earlier batch of this whiskey, this cult status whiskey, by the way. And I think it was a batch 25 or 26, and I don't remember. And it was absolutely amazing. It was so good. And I fell in love. And I started collecting Abunas and as when they started coming out. And while, I'll be honest, while overall quality has suffered in recent years, and I really think that's because of the average age of the whiskey in this bottle going down quite a bit. Quality has suffered. However, it's still a fantastic whiskey. It packs a lot of punch. It'll come in at around 58, 57, 58, 59% ABV. So you're definitely getting a bang for your buck. It's a real quintessential sherry monster, if you ask me. And even a bad Abuna is a good Abuna. So that's my number 1 recommendation for you. If you want to try something that is super sherried and at a super high strength, then get your hands on the ABERLOUR Abuna. Water it down till it's palatable, but definitely pick one up. If you haven't tried it already, you will thank me. Our second whiskey is the GLENFARCLAS 105. Now, what I have in my hand is, of course, the 20-year-old. I'm not telling you to go out and get the 20-year-old. I just happen to have this, and I opened this up for a bunch of friends a couple of weeks ago, actually. And I had this bottle sitting on my shelf for maybe 5-7 years. I don't remember. And the cork came out nicely. As you can see, there were no issues. It's a fantastic dram, and it's bottled at 60% cask strength. If you're wondering how they managed to get it at cask strength of exactly 60%, it's because of beautiful cask management, and they marry and blend those Oloroso sherry casks and come to an even 60%. That's what the 105 stands for. The 105 is the imperial proof, which translates into 60% alcohol by volume. This is, in my opinion, one of the better whiskeys to come out of Glenfarclas. They have been producing this for many years now, and it also has cult status. The older bottlings, if you can get your hands on. In fact, I had a video that I did for the old Glenfarclas 105. I will put a link up here somewhere. Check that out. Ooh, what a stunning dram that is. Again, like most whiskeys, I think quality off late has been somewhat questionable, especially with the NAS 105, and I think it's because, again, younger and younger whiskeys are going into those bottles and affecting overall quality. So, but still, a mighty fine dram, again at a very nice strength and super sherried. So if that's to your liking, or if it's something that you haven't tried, get your hands on this Glenfarclas 105. My whiskey number 3 is the GLENDRONACH cask strength. This one, as you can see, is batch 8 and served up at a glorious 61% alcohol by volume. Now, the GLENDRONACH, I had the batch 1 exactly 7 years ago, and it blew my mind, and it was a PX matured cask, so Pedro Jimenez. Let me tell you about this one. It says, richly sherried, matured in the finest Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso sherry casks, bottled at natural cask strength. So this is a mix of 2 different sherry casks, again bottled at a very, very high alcohol percentage, which just means you get more whiskey for your money. And this is quite reasonable as well. I think maybe about 50-60 pounds, maybe, I think, which is not bad for a cask strength whiskey. I'm unsure about the average age of whiskey in this. I would think between 6 and 7 years, maybe 8. I don't think anything older than that. I'd be surprised if it was. Definitely one of my go-to cask strength sherried whiskeys. I always have one lying around on my shelf, so if you haven't tried it, I highly, highly recommend finding this and picking it up for yourself. Our next 2 whiskeys are not from Scotland. So the 4th whiskey that I highly recommend is this KAVALAN. This KAVALAN is part of the SOLIST series, again cask strength at 59.4% ABV, and this has been matured in Oloroso sherry casks. This particular bottle is a single cask bottle, and it has a cask number on it as well. But you will find some KAVALANs that are matured in just sherry casks. They also come at a slightly lower ABV, but really, if you want to get the maximum from this whiskey, right, from your spirit, then the SOLIST series is the one to get. And again, you know, bottled at a lovely 59.4% alcohol, matured exclusively in sherry casks. This whiskey is very, very young. We had a chat with the brand ambassadors, and they told us roughly 4 to 5 year old whiskey that goes into this bottle. The SOLIST single cask, unfortunately, is quite an expensive offering. I think they retail for a little over 120, 140 pounds, somewhere along that price range. So it's definitely expensive, but if you've never tried it, I again, you know, strongly recommend that you get your hands on this because it is a once in a lifetime drinking experience, especially this one. I remember drinking it the first time and thinking, wow, this has to be bourbon. It can't be anything else. And it reminded me of a George C. Stagg or an Elijah Craig barrel proof. But no, it's a Taiwanese whiskey bottled at such a good strength and just, you know, meticulously matured with, you know, just amazing cask selection. And this one I think is first fill Oloroso sherry casks, and absolutely stunning whiskey. So if you haven't tried it, highly recommend that you do. And last but not the least is this AMRUT single cask matured in PX sherry. Now, I am a huge fan of AMRUT distilleries. They're one of my favorite distilleries in the whole world. Their master distiller, Ashok, is a good friend of mine. But that's not the reason I love this whiskey. It's because, man, they do some good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And this single cask matured exclusively in PX sherry casks is absolutely stunning. Again, you know, bottled at 62.8% ABV, so they're not playing around. This is nectar from the gods, if you ask me. One of my favorite whiskeys out there. Luckily, it's quite easily available. I hope it's available, and it's definitely a good bang for your buck. It's quite reasonable in terms of its pricing and what it offers from a flavor profile. Yeah, it's just absolutely stunning. And if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend that you pick this one up as well. So there you have it, 5 sherry bombs, high strength sherry bombs actually, that I highly recommend that you try and have on your shelf at any given point. Believe me, you will thank me. So thank you for joining me for this interesting list exercise. I am the Malt Activist. Until next time, peace.